What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we have to talk about Kotaku doing maybe the stupidest or worst thing they've ever done. Now, I know, saying that is quite a stretch, and we kind of talk about that all the time when it comes to Kotaku and gaming journalism, right? That they mess up quite often. As you can tell, you can see my face. I haven't gotten a haircut yet. I really need to. I also haven't shaved. I really need to. Both of those things will come, but I made my face because this is something that I think you need to see. I guess a physical expressions of. So what I find most hilarious about this entire thing is, and people said it yesterday. Okay, there's a couple people that covered this, and there's a couple people that have talked about this online, and they called it like a civil war. And again, not to jump to like extremes, but funny enough, Kotaku almost did start what I would consider a civil war between gaming journalists and gaming developers, which I never actually thought they would butt heads, because I love gaming developers. They give us our games, right? They are neutral on a lot of things, which I think is a pretty darn smart. Some of them are a little bit more outspoken, but a lot of them are quiet. And the one thing I would say I have a negative feeling towards them is that they don't realize kind of the danger or how bad gaming journalism has gotten over the last several years, 5, 6, 7 years, okay? They don't really call it out ever. And more or less, they side with these gaming journalists over their own fans. And that's that's probably the main thing I don't respect the most about gaming developers. However, they've come out of their shell to attack Kotaku. So it's not just people like me, people like us laughing at Kotaku. It's everybody going after them. Now, I should probably tell you, in case you don't know, what's going on. So basically, Kotaku wrote an article, I guess, simplifying it as much as you can, talking down to an executive at Call of Duty, okay? And they talked about how, like, a developer had to go overseas and mess with guns and, like, learn stuff about that for Call of Duty. And they talked about how, like, that, like, and like, that's a hard job, like, quote unquote, oh, that's such a difficult job. The title to the article is atrocious, and a lot of people are quote tweeting it. I quote tweeted it. The people that clicked it, I saw some people try to defend Kotaku and said, well, the article isn't really what the actual article is. No, it actually is. The article is horrible. The article actually props this guy who's like a higher up, okay? It props him up because it talks about him working very hard to get to the position he's at. So I think some people forget that and I'm not saying every executive is a perfect person or that the billionaires and millionaires need to be bowed down to. In fact, I'm completely opposite of that. But sometimes we forget that, like, there are sometimes, not all the times, there are sometimes reasons they got there. Like, like this specific person that Kotaku basically attacked. We know they love writing hit pieces. They did it on Troy Leavitt as well as every other gaming outlet, on the face of the earth. But they literally talk about this guy as a hard worker and somebody who had to earn his keep to get to where he is. And then they bash him. Then they bash him for, it's not hard. Basically, what it boils down to is they talked about how gaming development and the stuff that they have to do. Now, yes, are they talking about like flying overseas and kind of framing it almost as like a vacation? Yeah, but they're saying like that isn't actually work. That's not difficult. And then what makes it worse is, as this stuff has been called out, the writer of this article continued to go off on Twitter talking about basically how her job is more difficult than other people's jobs because of the research they have to do and playing games and watching videos. It's much harder than being an executive at a gaming developer company. It doesn't get more stupid, truly, than that. Maybe, and I'm not, by the way, there are plenty of YouTubers, there's plenty of people that write and create, entertainment or media online that do put countless hours in. I mean, I want to put myself in there. I don't think I do like 60, 70 hours a week. But I mean, I work it as a full-time job. I'm always thinking about it, even if I'm not on the clock. You know what I mean? So I put a lot of stuff in. But like these guys, the ones that we're talking about, the ones that I'm negative against, right? They don't do anything. They literally hate games, and we always talk about that. And I literally tweeted that. Look, these people, Kotaku, that goes after this guy, sits there. They hate themselves. They hate us. They hate the job they're at. And yet they still do it anyway. And they don't do a very good job at it. Now, again, why is it a civil war? Where developers came out and said this is a horrible, horrible take. This is dangerous to gaming developers, which is funny. I always hate it when they say, oh my God, gaming journalism or journalism in general, it's so difficult. They get hate every single day. I guess grow up, grow some thick skin. Those guys are pathetic, the ones that say that, in my opinion. Anybody that says that kind of stuff. But, it's just funny. Now, what I've noticed, and I do want to take some shots even at gaming developers or other people, because here's the deal. When things like this happen, there really is, and people have talked about it online, there's actually several really good videos on it. The gaming journalism media is like a cult. And I don't say that in a, well, I guess take it however you want, but it's a hive mind. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically just a people that all think and say the exact same thing. There's no difference between employee number 2 at IGN and employee number 220. They all literally are the exact same. It didn't used to be that way. Like, there's a reason why Colin Moriarty, or even like Greg Miller, stuff like that, there's a reason why they come out on top. It's because they're just a little bit different than everybody else. Now, Greg is still part of that kind of hive mind. Colin is not, and we see how the gaming media has treated Colin over the years, right? But the point is, everybody's exactly the same, okay? And part of that is that they'll come to each other's defense when things like this happen. Anytime there's a critical piece. Now, I'm not, like, I've never gotten it, but, when Kotaku or IGN or GameSpot, when they do something stupid, and they do it all the time, oftentimes what happens is their peers will make a really big deal out of it on social media and almost act like we killed, like we murdered the person who... So say somebody wrote an article, and it was a terrible article, and we all critique it. The gaming media, if you guys pay attention to Twitter and just online in general, they will band together and support that person that we're going after and frame it that way. Frame it after harassment and attacks. And I'm sure there are people doing that, and they should stop. And none of us ever say to do that, which is the funny thing, right? Anybody seriously critiquing these guys or calling them out for what they are, none of us ever say to harass the person, to attack the person. I'm saying it right now. Don't read the Kotaku article. Don't do anything with the, don't contact the person. We all always say that, right? But they'll say we don't. They'll say, we're attacking the person, but they literally almost throw a funeral for the person. It's actually funny. There's a Sophia Narwitz is a fantastic person to follow on Twitter. She's great. She categorizes a lot of this stuff. Really actual, not a journalist, an actual journalist, and she does a phenomenal job. So, and that you can probably go to her account for a lot of this stuff, because you see them literally banding together and saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry for what happened. Let me know if there's anything you can do. So they all come together. Well, what's difficult about this, though, is Kotaku attacked basically the people that feed them. These game developers, if game developers don't like your website, I mean, that's not going to be a good thing. I mean, if you piss them off, it's not great. So when Kotaku goes after really not just anybody, but also somebody in like a Call of Duty developer, that's a pretty big game to go after firstly, but more or less, because of the title, because of just kind of the statements this person was making, it really sounds like they go after gaming or like gaming developers in general, that they think their job is hard, but it's really not. That sends a pretty powerful message, and what we saw yesterday was a lot of gaming developers coming out and going after it, saying this is a horrible take, this is dangerous, this is bad, I don't know why you would think this, I don't know why you would publish this, but, there's a problem here. Now, again, another thing I didn't like about gaming developers is some of them that I personally saw threw in the thing where it's like, look, gaming journalism gets a lot of hate from, like, extremist groups, and they get a lot of harassment, and that's never okay, but, like, this article sucks. And it's like, You don't need to say the first part, because again, the world, let me tell you something, a history lesson or just a lesson about society. The world pretends that the extreme few is everybody. That's how Twitter makes its pay. That's how these people get their clout. That's how these people get their likes. They pretend that the small people, so the people that harass, people that attack, these game journalists and even sometimes these game developers, they pretend like they're everybody and they paint them as horrible, and so they're painting us as horrible because they throw us in because they don't know what they're talking about. And that's without Twitter, without the internet, that wouldn't happen, because the world is a lot bigger than that, but they don't know that because they live their lives here and they pretend like, again, the very small is everybody. And that's a lesson not just in gaming journalism, but in general in life, that people really need to remember, because I see it all the time, and you see it here. So it's funny, it's awesome, I've never seen anything like it. That's why, again, like, I know we make those statements, worst take, and people make that like the headline, stuff like that. Like, is it clickbaity? Sometimes it is because it's not actually the worst take, but also, you say that over and over again, and it's like, well, what actually is the worst thing that somebody said? I think there's been worse. Like, literally, PC Gamer, Kotaku, these were some of the leaders at writing literal hit pieces and then saying that they didn't on Troy Leavitt of Hogwarts Legacy. It was disgusting. It was probably the worst thing I've ever seen in terms of gaming, because they literally they found a guy, they looked back at his catalog, they attacked him, they harassed him, everybody banded together, the gaming journalists, and it resulted in him quitting or retiring. He was going to do it already, but they kind of forced him to do it early, and he said that, okay? I guess that was part of it. So, that's probably the worst thing they've ever done. This, though, in terms of, like, starting a Marvel Civil War, and not a Marvel, not the MCU Civil War movie, because that kind of ended pretty nicely. This may not end nicely. This is a lot different. This is a lot different because it's not the worst thing you could ever say, but you're going after people that have always been on your side. The only people at this time, nobody's on their side. Nobody's on Kotaku's side. The losers that defend them on Twitter are just that, okay? And so all they have are these gaming developers, these higher echelon people that feed them leaks, feed them rumors, feed them info. Their products are the reason people would go on Kotaku in the first place, right? They'll sell their games through like Amazon links, all that stuff. And they go after them. They're the only ones that like them. And they attack them. And now it's back and forth. And do I hope that gaming developers realize Kotaku's a piece of garbage? Yeah. Do I think some of them already know that? 100%. Do I think some of them have just realized that? 100%. Do I think some of them are doing it almost again for clout, saying, oh, well, it is a horrible take, we need to stand up, but we're still going to be buddy-buddy with Kotaku after this? Of course they will. Of course they will. And that sucks. That's horrible. That's like a two-facedness, and we're used to it. It just, it sucks to see. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, leave a like if you did enjoy this video. I love making these kinds of videos, but, and I don't say this to be cliche or to be like over extreme, but they are dangerous to make. They really are, because you get a lot of different kinds of people. You basically put a target on your back by going after these people. So if you guys want to support me in any of the places that we are, Twitter, my second YouTube channel, all that stuff, we have a Patreon, we have a YouTube membership. If I made a lot of money from there, I would just do these videos every single day, right? But if you guys want to support us there, I'd be much appreciative of it. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next video.